Okay, I've completed the installation of my rear shock tower brace, the UMI unit. And there's the bigger screws up there. I was able to drill everything out to the 3/8 and relocate my fuel filter. Had to move it down and back a little bit, so I made another bracket. And then I had to go to work and modify the bracket that it comes with, because the holes on that bracket, one set are 2 inches apart, the other set are 2.5 inches apart. So I had to notch them a little bit, but that worked out really good. I was able to go to work yesterday and use the Bridgeport. And there's the brace in there. And then I had to move my fuel pump over a little bit and kind of angle it. And luckily that worked out. And I was able to use the fuel lines that I had before. They were almost too short, but I got them all hooked up. And everything looks like it's going to clear. Kind of close to the spring, but I can get my finger in there. I'm going to keep an eye on it, make sure nothing flexes around and touches. Get over here, it's pretty close to that arm up there for the rear end, but there's room. I can get my finger in there. And to get these bolts in, I had to drill up from here with a long 3/8 drill, and then drill into the floor, and then I went on the other side and drilled those out with a step drill 7/8, and I could drop those long bolts down in there. There was one bolt I was able to get without drilling. I think one on this side, and the other three, that wasn't going to happen. I know this back one was really difficult there. That top one, you can see, that wasn't going to happen. And then the ones on the passenger side, yeah, those weren't going to happen. And so that's where I decided to drill those out. There was no way. There's no room up there. I could stand the bolt up sort of, but trying to locate it in there on one of the holes on the other side, they're just too long. And I was fighting with it for like an hour, and I'm all, this isn't going to happen. And so I drilled up there with the long drill, and then took a 7/8 step drill and then drilled them out from the top, and I was able to drop them in there with a magnet. And also I used super glue to glue the washer to the bolt so they didn't fall off when I was trying to drop them down into the hole. And I lined everything up down here with like a screwdriver that it's actually a magnetic screwdriver that has a 370 diameter shank on it. And so I put it up there, made sure the shocks lined up, made sure the brace lined up with the hole and everything, lined everything up, went on the top side and dropped it in there. And I was able to do it with the shocks in there. They were moving around a little bit, but I stuck a screwdriver in there, and then I was able to rotate the flat blade screwdriver and position those ears so they would line up. It was a fight. I was battling it, but I was able to do it. I didn't want to jack the car up and take the shocks completely off. I've only done that about 50 times since I've had this car, so I decided to do it the harder way, but it all worked out. And there's my fuel filter upside down, my vintage Fram HPG1. I just changed the fuel filter element on that a month ago. And I don't know if you could see my bracket up there that I made. It's painted black. And then that chromey one is the one that came with the fuel filter. But it's all up there. Everything's real tight. And I'm happy how it turned out. It's all in there. Everything's bolted down. I haven't driven it yet. I'm gonna have to run the fuel pump and get fuel going through everything again. I had all the lines off. But on a difficulty scale, it took me 2 days of work. I worked on it Friday afternoon and yesterday afternoon and until almost 10 o'clock last night. And finally got it done. And then on the top, Let me get back up here. Inside the car. I had to drill one hole on this side. I don't know why it gets so dirty in my trunk like that. I painted it not too long ago, and now it's all filthy again. I don't know why. And then I had to drill 2 holes on this side. And that's where my fuel filter is mounted, the 2 screws coming up through the floor. And then over here, 2 screws coming up through the floor for the fuel pump. But yeah, that's how I did it. I had to drill holes to get the bolts down in there because they're pretty long. All right, I did it. That was a lot of work. That took some doing. It's like a 8 on the difficulty scale, but I did it. And the instructions don't mention anything about having to do something like this. It just says it's a tight fit area. It's like, okay, thanks. That's it. Yeah, I knew that. So there it is. It's done. Yay.